Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. That's no problem at all. Canon-kun is a servant who works for the Ushiromiya family. Aunt Natsui probably ordered him to keep to her story, so that she could hide grandfather's death. Because of that, Canon can see grandfather though he shouldn't exist, just like Aunt Natsui can. Too bad, Lambda. Battler isn't going to fall for that kind of child's play anymore. Seems so. Well, this is nothing more than an opening before the games really started. Like an aperitif before a meal. An appetizer at a bar. Green tea at a sushi restaurant. Shut up. So, we aren't going to get anywhere unless I say it again in blue text. Huh. Looks like it. Would you mind? The reason grandfather's strolling around like nothing happened, even though he's already dead, is that people who want to make it seem as though he's alive created an illusion of him. People who think the same way can share in that illusion. Then they'll talk as though grandfather actually exists and was with them until a second ago. That's why he's strolling around like it's perfectly natural. Because of this, the illusion of grandfather is unable to appear in front of people who aren't in on this with Aunt Natsui. That's why they made up the story of him shutting himself up away in his study and refusing to come out. In the games before now, grandfather has always locked himself up in his study. We never met him directly. However, some people said things that made us think he was locked up in his study and in a bad mood, such as claiming to have met him only a short while ago. We blindly accepted their statements and believed that grandfather was in the study. That's why it was possible for an illusion of grandfather to exist in the study. That's right, in the games before now, the only people who met grandfather were Uncle Kraus, Aunt Natsui, and the servants. Because they all stuck to the same story, an illusion of grandfather was able to exist on this island, making it seem like he was alive. You even showed us a scene at the beginning of this game, where Aunt Natsui convinced Dr. Nanjo and the rest to cover up grandfather's death. I'm not going to fall for a cheap trick like that after all this time. Well, not bad, but I was hoping for the unknown drug Papuru Picopuyo. That definitely is not how that is pronounced. There's no way he'd say something so ridiculous, right? After all, supposing that such a thing exists would be just as bad as surrendering to the fantasy genre. Whether it's a virus, or a drug, or an illness, anything that hasn't been discovered yet is in violation of Nox's fourth commandment. What do you mean, fourth commandment? Nox's fourth. It is forbidden for unknown drugs or difficult to understand scientific devices to be used. The rules state that such things can't be used during a murder. What the hell? Unknown drug X and unknown scientific device X should be the best kinds of weapons to use when fighting against a witch. That's what I'm talking about. The face and expression she's making. It kind of reminds me of a really old, obscure horror visual novel it's not rooted in mystery so much as psychology. Gives me an idea for a thumbnail. So in this circumstance, is Battler Fuminori if Frederica Berncastel or Eureka Furude's evolved Thunderstone Raichu form is Saya, which is kind of odd given the fact that technically Shannon's actual name is Saya. Wonder if the developer of this game ever heard of that visual novel, Saya no Yuta. Don't know. That's what I'm talking about. All of those violate the rules of a proper mystery. Supposing an unknown virus, an unknown drug, an unknown sickness, or an unknown XXX was puts it totally in a fantasy genre. My condolences. If that was your theory, then it's game over for you. Giggle, giggle. Hey, what are you talking about? You think you've been fighting in direct opposition to Beato. Again, how many of you are familiar with Higurashi? But that's not actually true. You haven't been in direct opposition. You've been fighting along with her from a slightly different angle. All this playing detective you've done hasn't been fantasy versus mystery. It's only been fantasy versus anti-fantasy. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. But there's one thing I do get. It sounds like you're saying there's something wrong with my fighting style. We're all fighting to kill the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch. That means interpreting this tale as a proper mystery. In other words, from the very start, we have to ignore any and all elements that violate the taboos of the mystery genre. Ignore, you say? For example, several closed-room murders have occurred in the games before now, right? Yeah. At every single crime scene, you enthusiastically check with Beato to make sure there are no hidden doors, right? Then that leads to a flashy bunch of red truths weaving together all over the place, almost as though that itself is the battle. I call that a waste of time. After all, it's clearly specified in Nox's third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. In the mystery genre, hidden passages mustn't exist. So if you want to interpret everything as a proper mystery, entering this whole debate over whether there are hidden doors or not means you've lost from the beginning, see? After all, there aren't any. As soon as you suspect they might exist, it's already game over for you. In other words, you assume you can start theory building just because no one's yet proven that hidden doors don't exist at a crime scene. That's why I call you naive and a failure at the mystery genre. You've already lost once you start thinking that. You thought you were waging a fight to interpret everything like a mystery novel, right? Then you've got to follow the conventions of the mystery genre. Giggle, laughter noises. Did anyone see that smile? Cough. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Hidden doors must not exist in any of the crime scenes. That means any time spent asking whether they exist or not is wasted. I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard about it somewhere. Is this like the 10 basic rules for mystery novels or something? Yeah, that's right. Are you going to actually tell me the 10 basic rules, or do I need to look them up on Google? Because I'm pretty sure Google is tired of me asking random trivia facts about things, or like, hey Google, like, how do you do this thing in Cyberpunk? They are 10 wedges for drilling witches brandished by Nox, the peerless archbishop of witch hunting. Those are the true weapons with which to fight and defeat the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch head-on. It's just like you, Burn, to bring in such a troublesome weapon. That's the fantasy genre's arch-enemy. So you'll deny the existence of hidden doors right from the start without even investigating the crime scene. That sounds more like fantasy to me. Lambda, who's in charge of the witch side? Lambda, who's in charge of the witch side, is fantasy. I mean, they're probably going to tell me what the rules are. Heck, maybe it's in the tips. Nope. Maybe later. I am looking it up. Okay, it's a Reddit post. Ronald Knox, 10 Commandments of Detective Fiction. In all the discussions that we've been having, I haven't seen anyone mention the 10 Commandments for the mystery. And what I find interesting is that almost every single one of the tenets comes into play here. For reference, they are... Okay, so what are you guys discussing that this came up? What's being discussed? I have no idea. Let's just read these 10 rules. Oh, there's something below it, so maybe that'll let me know about what's going on. Commandment 1. The criminal must be someone mentioned in the early part of the story, but must not be anyone whose thoughts the reader has been allowed to follow. Okay, obviously we can't have the criminal be someone who is, like, not known. It has to be someone that you can actually suspect. You can't be like, oh, it was this guy from this other country or the city over. It has to be somebody that you have some reason to suspect. But also, you can't be someone whose thoughts you've been able to... Because technically, we've seen things from everyone's thoughts. I mean, I've already made the reference about Natsui being, you know, Fight Club, you know, Tyler Durden. I mean... So it could always be the possibility of that. But at the same time, that does, at that point, change the genre. All supernatural or... So, but then again, that just means that Natsui can't be the murderer. And even then, it just means that it's one thing if you only hear the thoughts of the person in stuff that's not related to the crime. But if you actually hear the person's inner dialogue where they're thinking to themselves about how they didn't murder people and how they're scared that they'll be the next victim, and they're thinking in their head, obviously, okay, that's the truth. Unless they have, like, schizophrenia or split personality or something. But again, at that point, it's just, it's not, you've changed the genre. I don't know what the genre would be. Like, what genres? Back to Google. If I can get... Okay. Fight Club is considered part of the action, thriller, comedy, dark comedy, suspense, crime film, mystery, drama, and crime fiction. Primary genre, psychological thriller, drama. Subgenres, dark comedy, satire, neo-noir, action. Themes, anti-consumerism, mental illness, nihilism, male identity crisis, narrative style, surreal, non-linear, and unreliable narrator. The film is often described as a cult classic, recognized for its exploration of the 1990s counterculture and its intense, often controversial portrayal of violence. What was another movie I was thinking of that would be... Who's the... Okay, moving on, so we're not at this all day. Rule 2. All supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. Well, again, you don't... Like, here's the thing. I think it's healthy to have a mix of faith and skepticism. And in the same regard, while I do regard magic as real, I would say most things in the world are, scientific explanations. Because after all, if magic were common, everyone would believe in it. Magic does exist, but it's not something that, that everyone sees every day. Though the fact that I'm using a laptop right now and what it's doing, pretty sure that technology would be classified as magic in the past. But main point is this. Just because you rule one supernatural element out of existence doesn't mean other things. It'd be like saying, just because you rule the devil isn't involved in one situation doesn't mean he isn't involved in other things. Even if you prove one situation happened in a scientific way, doesn't mean that it happens scientific explanation every way. In the same regard, I've had preachers and people get pissed off at me because I start explaining certain things in the Bible as ideas of how it could happen scientifically, at which point I'm not trying to disprove God or anything. If anything, again, like I said, I believe in God stronger than they do. But it's more so I'm just trying to understand, like, this idea of, like, okay, the people dying, in ancient Egypt could have been, rising gases that usually happen around volcanoes. That has happened, and entire villages have been wiped out. Same way that Nebuchadnezzar, there are people that have gotten a type of bacteria in their system or a virus that has caused them to basically think they were an animal for a few years. But then again, heck, I recommend the Noah experiment creepypasta, where it's like if you start crunching the numbers for, let's say, here's the thing, I believe everything in the Bible, 100% truth. That being said, if you look at some of the things, it's like unless there is some sort of supernatural involvement on God to help out, if you go purely by what humans could do, the story of Noah takes a very dark turn. But that's completely moot point, because it isn't really the point about that stuff. Like, the point I'm going with is like, okay, just because you ruled out aliens don't exist doesn't mean ghosts don't exist. Like, there can be more than one supernatural situation involved or high-tech thing. But again, at that point, you're just grasping at straws because you have like infinite options to choose from there. But the main point that we're going with here is that the reason why supernatural entities or anything magical is completely ruled out is because that goes against the genre. For example, even if you're someone like me who believes God exists, if all of a sudden you say, oh, this murder mystery happened this way because God intervened, at that point it's not a mystery novel, because you're using a deus ex machina. So by that account, anything that would actually use God or anything supernatural or aliens or even a Deus Ex Machina does not count as mystery. And it's not that you're saying these things don't exist. Obviously, you're saying God and magic could exist in this world. But the fact is, it cannot exist in the story that we're reading, because otherwise it would no longer be a mystery genre. Not more than one secret room or passage is allowed. Okay. So you're misquoting fucking rules to me. You jerks. But yeah, not more than one secret room or passage is allowable. But at that point, it's more so just, it's proper etiquette at that point. We're not arguing, raw scientific facts. We're arguing what is the proper way to write a story. At this point, we're arguing concepts of video games. What was the saying? Damn it, I can't remember. I think I posted it somewhere on my Twitter. However, I have to scroll through all of the lewd pictures that I also post. Or things about video games. Gonna repost this tweet. Everyone's like, focus. I'm like, apparently that's a no. It's probably gonna take a minute for me to. It is probably forever ago. I am never going to find... And I keep wanting to delete all my posts so I can see older posts. And yet I'm just burying stuff more. Already lost interest in looking. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can remember. Okay, there are 4 things that a game needs. Rules, a goal, player feedback, and volunteer. Yes, I remembered them. Okay, so there are 4 things that a game needs. An established goal for you to try to achieve, rules that you have to play by. I already forgot the other 2 things. So okay, there's 4 things you need in a video game, or any kind of game, of any kind. There are 4 things you need in any kind of game, of any kind. And that is, whether it be a board game or even a game that's like a sport even. Technically, football is a game. So you'd have to have 4... There are 4 things that you need in any kind of game. You need rules. You need a goal. You need voluntary participation of the players. And... you have to have feedback. You have to have player feedback. Basically, you have to have the rules. You have to have established boundaries for what is allowed and what is not allowed. You have to have a goal. You have to have some sort of task that you want to accomplish that's considered what you're supposed to be doing. And the rules are the boundaries that establish what you can and cannot do in order to do that. Next off, all the players have to be doing so voluntarily. You cannot have a game in a proper sense if the players are forced, at which point it's no longer a game. I don't know what it's called at that point, but it wouldn't be called a game. Because obviously if the players are coerced or forced in some way, well, then it's something else. But I don't know what the word for it is, but I do have to emphasize that I don't think it counts as a game anymore, unless all the players are doing so purely of their own voluntary volition. And next off, there has to be some player feedback. Basically, the people playing the game have to be interacting with it. They have to actually have thoughts and feelings on the matter, and the ability to express those interests and to make decisions based on it. One could even call it player agency to a degree, though that's technically a different thing. Technically you need both agency and feedback, but we'll consider it part of the same. But you guys get what I'm saying. Okay. 4. No hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used, nor any appliance which will need a long scientific explanation at the end. Okay, again, you're misrepresenting rules then. Because Rule 3 you explained to me in the game as there's not allowed to be secret rooms or passages or hidden doors. That's not the rule. The rule that's being stated here, unless the person who posted this, who is called Excellent Banana 591, unless they wrote the rules wrong themselves back 2 years ago, it says it's... Oh, that's what we're saying about the whole etiquette of rules. Not more than one secret room or passage. The point is, you're allowed to use secret rooms or passages, but heck, if it was like food, to be like, here, Gordon Ramsay. It's like Gordon Ramsay's like, you cannot use more than 1 teaspoon of salt. It's not good to use more than 1 teaspoon of salt. There's too much salt in this soup. There's too much hidden passage in this mystery novel. So the point is, you can use secret doors. That's the point. According to the mystery novel of the Commandments of Detective Fiction, you're allowed to use secret doors. You're allowed to use secret passages and secret rooms. But you're usually only considered to use one. And at this point, these aren't so much the 10 Commandments so much as the 10 suggestions. It's like you come up to a fucking stop sign at an intersection, but they put a fucking question mark at the end. Stop? It's like, maybe, I don't know. It's like a fucking question mark at the end of it. It's like, what the fuck? But that's the thing. It's like, you're allowed to use it. It's just, it's the same way as in a game. It's like you can make small changes to a game, but you can't have a Monopoly board that's like a fucking 3-dimensional dodecahedron. Not because you're not allowed, but because it's just, you're making the game too complicated. Everybody wants to kill each other and a Monopoly anyway. So, point is, you're allowed to have secret rooms passages, but you're only supposed to have one. So at this point, we're describing common rules for how a game should work. After all, I'm pretty sure that exists in all video games. Like, there's a certain way, like, driving mechanics should work. Like, to where, basically, one, if you're going to drive, like, say if you have a car in a game, whether it's a driving game like Forza or a game like GTA, there are certain ways in which a car is supposed to respond, in which one is actually fun and engaging for the player, and 2 is actually, consistent and reliable. And unless some sort of mod or cheat is involved or a special circumstance, things should follow those rules. I mean, but again, at that point, if you're changing what to expect in the game, you're changing the genre. The point is, it takes away the ability to be a mystery novel. Now, the same way. But it doesn't mean, it's just, it's unrealistic for a mansion to have tons and tons of secret doors. But you would expect one or two. But that's the thing. Are Lambda Delta and Bernkastel purposefully misrepresenting these rules to me? Of which, we've only been told 2 of, by the way. The other thing is this. Okay, so secret rooms can be allowed, but it's just like saying, it'd be like saying Mario, ice physics are allowed. But you can't just say putting all the ice physics in all the levels, and then in this level it has super ice physics. Like, no. You have to... be reasonable, be balanced. I don't know the proper word. I feel like none of those are the proper word. But you guys get what I mean. Like, I guess the question is this. If you were reading a story, and it's meant to be a mystery novel, and all of a sudden there's just like, you find out that there's a 30th hidden passage, at that point, it kind of kills the enjoyment of the story, and it kind of deletes... I mean, heck, most people like the authenticity of it. It's the same way people usually bitch about Deus Ex Machinas, because they feel it's a fucking ass pull. They feel it's just the writer wrote themselves to a fucking corner, so they made bullshit up to get past it. And sometimes they write themselves in corners because they wrote this one bullshit up. And it's just like, at that point, you're not criticizing the realisticness of the story. You're criticizing the writing ability of the writer to make a story that sounds plausible. It's the same way if a writer suddenly changes the character of a person to where it's one thing to have a twist, or like, oh, you didn't know this one character was going to be like this or do this. But you have to have some sort of... There has to be foreshadowing. Same way they were saying you can't have character be responsible for it that has no way for the reader to even suspect them. You have to have people that you can suspect. You can't just like, it'd be like playing a video game and it says hit the R4 button. There is no R4 button. What the fuck do you want from me? You have to be, it's being unfair. If you're making a mystery story where the whole point of a mystery novel is you're actually, as the reader, trying to solve the mystery as you are reading the book, if you say too many secret passages in your story, not only does that make the story less fun and enjoyable, but again, you have now made it impossible for the reader to win. Like, same way the rules, like a story has to have rules. But the rules also have to be fair. And And if the rules are overly hard, well, it should be established from the start that they're going to be fucking hard rules. You can't just keep changing the rules or making them harder. Granted, I mean, if you're a dungeon master of D&D, you can maybe make a few changes here and there. But usually at that point, again, it has to be in a way that would be considered reasonable, or some logical reason behind it. The main point is that you take away the ability for it to be a mystery novel at that point. But you guys get what I'm saying. But same way, the unknown poisons. Okay, are we just saying that there's an unknown poison with an effect that we don't know about? That's saying, oh, there's a... But at the same time, what if there actually is a poison? But even then, we're establishing, it should be a poison that's relatively understood. Now, at that point, we might run into an issue of, like, a lot of readers are just stupid. Like, if it'd be like, imagine if there's a story about Hitler and people didn't know who Hitler was. Like, imagine if someone never even heard of World War II. Then, obviously, if your mystery novel makes tons of references to World War II, well, that's going to be a problem. But at the same time, that's fine to use in the story because it's kind of established that you would expect most people would know what World War II is. Now, that being said, if your mystery novel is aimed toward people in America and it's referencing an obscure war that took place in Russia before America was even founded and before Russia was even called Russia, well then, there's no reasonable way to expect It's kind of like if I suddenly go on a tirade of something that occurs in the plot of the anime Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It's kind of unfair of me, because I have no reason to expect any of you to understand or have watched that anime. Then again, no one is watching me. So, and also I am unfair. I will talk about whatever I want to talk about, and I would say 99% of the time I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, even 3 seconds before we're talking about it. This is literally just Lunar D8 talking without a filter and just being myself in the void of space, because no one watches my channel. But that's fine. It's not like I'm trying to make money off this anyway. Heck, I've never made a cent off this channel. I never will. Heck, even if I had 1 million subscribers, I will never be monetized. I will never get ad money. I will never have sponsors or merchandise or super chats. Even if I have 1 million subscribers and have like 1 million likes on a video, I will never make a cent. Then again, I'll say this. It's not about subscriber numbers or likes, though. I imagine everyone watching this, again, which doesn't exist for the most part, because I expect this video to stay at 0 views for at least a year. I imagine anyone watching this would say to me, that's easy for you to say that you don't care about the subscribers or likes when you don't have any subscribers or likes. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, it's... Ah, yeah, you say, I don't care about that one thing. Yeah, the thing that you don't have. It's like, whatever. It's a very easy thing for you to say in that situation. But at the same time, it's not like I have any aspirations to make money from YouTube. The point is that even if I did have 1 million subscribers and each video was getting 1 million likes, and YouTube was actually wanting me to become monetized, and people were wanting to be sponsors and to pay me like tens of thousands of dollars to like advertise for Raid Shadow Legends and Manscaping. Though honestly, knowing me, I'd probably get offers from company like, hey, you wanna be sponsored by Femboy Clothes or anime action figures? Can I be... Wait, if I were to actually be sponsored, can I be sponsored by people that actually sell anime cosplay stuff? I could actually, like, have cyberpunk clothes, like the samurai outfit from Cyberpunk 2077. Heck, they were like, hi, I'm Lunar D8, and I'm sponsored by Arasaka. It's like, here in today's video, I have been sent a submachine gun to review. Here, Lunar D8 is in the middle of the woods, shooting logs. All of the logs are designed like random, obscure anime video game characters. But yeah, point is, at the end of the day though, one, even if I had 1 million subscribers, I will not monetize my channel. And I will never make a cent off this. That being said, while I do like it if my videos get likes, at the same time, whether or not I have 1 million subscribers or not doesn't fucking matter in the least bit whatsoever. What matters much more is just engagement of the individuals. It doesn't matter if I have a huge number of people. There's at least a couple people out there that are like watching my videos that enjoy it for some reason, even though I feel like I am not a very enjoyable person to listen to. At which point, me saying no one enjoys my videos, it is not meant in any way as an insult to anyone watching my videos. It is meant as an insult to myself. It is mainly my outward vocalization of my absurdly low self-esteem. That being said, yeah, why the fuck are you watching my video? What? How could you have any enjoyment or entertainment listening to me? I am the most boring, annoying person on the internet. I am the most cringy person on the internet, and I say the most inappropriate things And I have no plan or script on anything. Heck, I think I even said it before. I'm a bit of a tsundere, and I promise nothing. I guarantee even less. And the only thing consistent about my channel is a complete and total lack of anything professionalism related at all. I'm just some random crazy guy talking on the internet to himself. I don't know what value any of you would possibly see in me, or why you would come back to watch a second video of me. Then again, if you want more than one video, I mean, I've got nearly 4,000 videos on the channel, so you have choices. Though I would recommend the Super Meat Boy videos. Heck, I'll put a couple links in the description if you want videos that I would air quote consider good. Heck, I played Resident Evil 7 and 8 blind back when my computer was able to handle it. Nowadays, my computer cannot handle things of that graphics intensity. Heck, about 3 years ago, I tried Shadow of War, and it was just a PowerPoint presentation. I was getting maybe 2 frames a second, and it was literally just a PowerPoint presentation of Italians stabbing orcs while I yell and cuss. And again, like I said, I still don't know if I have autism or not. It was not a question that first, like, I did not first have the thought, do I have autism, until I was like 35, and at that point I'm like, that's not possible. I mean, after all, I mean, if I had autism, I would know. Then again, I mean, I've taken the online little personality quest dizzes. Okay, I mispronounced that, and all I'm thinking about now is titties. But point is, internet stuff, unreliable when it comes to that. But judging by my test results of that stuff, I would say I have a lot of autism and ADHD and a lot of depression and borderline personality disorder and PTSD and other stuff, I guess. So, also, I know I have disorganized speech. The way I talk, think, communicate, text, type, write tends to be in a manner that's not considered organized to other people, but feels organized to me. So yeah, and it feels weird to try to put things in a way that makes, I guess, sense. I think at one point I asked AI about it, and it was like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like you're smart, but the latency of your communication process is fucked up. It's like, great. Main point is this. One, even if I had 1 million subscribers and YouTube wanted to monetize me, I'm not getting monetized. I'm not getting sponsors. I'm not getting merchandise. I'm not getting super chats. Not that anyone would want to super chat to me in the first place. But even if there were people that wanted me to, but then again, it's like, it's just, the point is, it's not about that. It's just that I just want to make these videos, even though I'm completely off on a tangent at this point, and I keep saying I'm going to try to not go on tangents, and I'm going to keep short videos, and yeah, but like I said, I think it matters less having like 1 million people watching your video as opposed to having a smaller number of people watching your video who legitimately enjoy it, who are actually trying to understand you, who are polite and engaging. I guess that's engagement? What I don't know the right word for it, but I don't know how to say this. I guess the idea is that it's less important that it's like, yes, look, I have thousands of likes on this video. Look at how well it's doing with the algorithm. And it's more so, hey, look, a couple people commented on my video. They said hi. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a huge thing, but it's like, okay, there are at least some people that enjoy it, and then it's like, okay. And it's more so you have the people that are, I don't know, rather than a million people in a fucking revolving door that are just sort of just random people that are just, you know, occasionally come by, see something, and then just, you actually have people that are actually interested in my channel for whatever the fuck it is I am known for at this point. Then again, I'm not known for anything at this point. I am... Then again, it's just... Most people that have big YouTube channels is because they're interesting people. They're charismatic. They're entertaining. They make enjoyable content. I make whatever the fuck I want. I don't make enjoyable content. I don't make some sort of curated experience that's all edited and made into like something that's more palpable to people's tastes, that's more agreeable to people's attention spans. I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me. I don't care if anyone disagrees with like if I have a hot take on something or if I have an opinion on something. I'm going to have my opinion. I'm always the person to be open-minded about things, but at the end of the day is this: my opinion isn't going to change based on trying to make money from some company or get people to like buy my fucking product. I'm not trying to win some fucking popularity contest and try to say like whatever the current new thing is that'll get people to fucking like me. No, I'm just going to be the fucking retard, autistic, ADHD motherfucker. Granted, I probably shouldn't call myself that, because like I said, remember being 12, 13, 14 years old, taking IQ tests, 132, graduated high school straight A's, calculus, physics, and chemistry, and all that shit. I play guitar, I have a keyboard, I like to try to draw stuff. I work a full-time job and overtime. I read so much. But at the same time, it's just, at that point, me stating all that's less about, you know, trying to impress other people and more so me just trying to tell myself to stop being an asshole to myself and just to be a little bit kinder to myself. To not be so fucking hard on myself. But at the end of the day, like, the main point is this. These videos, they're not marketable. I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, after all, that's the whole reason why people, like, sponsors pick people. That's the whole reason why, like, advertisers want certain channels, because they're like, this is the kind of person that's marketable to our stuff. And they'll usually want to avoid people that are considered, you know, ad risks, that are company brand risks. Like, oh, we don't want to associate with this person who's constantly talking about, like, oh, I like boobs, I like cock, I'm bisexual, I like anime, and all this sort of shit. Like, most people, like, you'd expect most people are going to be like, just, they're not going to like, oh, you want to be like sponsored by this coffee company, oh, but this person likes futa cock and femboys and shit. It's like, no one's going to buy like femboy coffee. So it's like brand risk issues. Main point is this: advertisers do not want to try to sell things with people like me who are weird and who are not entertaining. And it's less like entertaining is me, like my ability to get or retain viewers. And at the same time, marketability. I am volatile. I am not likable. I'm not even making an attempt to be likable. I am just me. That's the whole point of the fucking channel, is I can just not have any filters. I can just be myself. Say whatever the fuck's on my mind and make everyone listening to me uncomfortable. And Yeah, sometimes I want to do karaoke. Sometimes I want to sing stuff. Sometimes I want to read things. Sometimes I'll play video games. I've been doing a lot of visual novels. But, yeah, it's just, I am not... But even then, it's just like, it's also about that, even if I could make money doing this. To be fair, it'd be kind of nice to be rich and not have to work in a factory. But at the same time, I don't want to make money from this. I don't want to. I just want to make the videos. I don't want any expectation of having like, oh, I need to make this video so I can make money to pay rent or some bullshit. I don't want it to ever be about that. Whether it be a situation where I would need the money, or even if it would be a situation where it's just like, oh, I'm rich and I'm like, all that. But it is kind of funny to think about the idea of like just today, it's like we're wearing like a full-on outfit from like Cyberpunk. Like we're fucking Johnny Silverhand at that point. Got the fucking outfit. I get an actual like high-end guitar, and it's just, hey guys, I got these anime figures that were sent to me. It's cool. Imagine if a company's like, we want you to review our manga. Read our manga. Then again, it wouldn't be much of a review. It'd be like, what do you think of this manga? I liked it. The end. This page had boobs. Main point is just like, fuck. I just like making the videos. Whatever the fuck it is I'm doing right now, I just like doing it. And I don't want to make money from it. And I don't want to ever feel like I have to do this. I don't want to ever feel like it's like part of a job or something, or if I want it to be something that there is no motivation for me to do this other than I just fucking felt like it. That's just how I want it to be. I don't want there to be anything else pushing me any other way with that. And granted, like I said, it's not like there's any issue with other people doing that stuff. Like, I think it's awesome when I watch other people who are streamers and such, and they get money and stuff. I'm actually cheering them on. I think it's awesome. And I enjoy watching, and of course I want them to make money doing stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just not for me. It's just, even if I did have 1 million subscribers, I wouldn't want to be monetized. I don't want to ever make a cent from any of this. I just want to do what I want to do. And then at the same time, it's, like I said, it's having a big crowd of people doesn't fucking matter to me. It's more so just that the people watching the video, for whatever reason that I don't understand, that they actually enjoy the video. That I just have a few people that come back and rewatch a few of my videos here and there, and for whatever reason I'm the flavor of tea they like. That maybe I'm the voice they like to listen to before they go to bed at night, or they're just like eating their bowl of cereal in the morning and they're like, hey, what's Lunar D8 up to today? What's new with Lunar D8? It's like, oh, I haven't watched a Lunar video in a few months. Is he still making new shit? Or did he finally give it up? And he just sort of stopped. Well, let's say this. It's going to be umineko for a long time. There is so much. Like I said, we're halfway through the story. And right now, we just went on a tangent for a while. And the tangent's going to continue because I haven't finished Ronald Knox's 10 Commandments Detective Fiction. I didn't even enunciate that correctly. Ronald Knox, 10 Commandments of Detective Fiction. That being said, it is going to be forever till I finish this. But I will say this. I am going to finish this. I am going to finish. I'm going to get to the end of episode 8 of umineko before Grand Theft Auto 6 is released. Okay, let's return to the poison thing. Like, main point is this. Everyone knows cyanide exists, so you could say cyanide or something like that's introduced. But while it's saying, one, you can't introduce a fictional poison that doesn't actually exist, that has some sort of weird... But at the same time, you can also argue that there are drugs out there that are obscure, but that do actually exist. You can't use those. Heck, one could also argue, can you use a poison in a game that's written in a time period from before the poison was invented? It'd be like saying if you had like some sort of... Because again, it's going... Imagine if you had something in the Civil War where all of a sudden televisions were mentioned. Like, those didn't exist back then. So again, it's about trying to play by the rules of that and with the story the way it works. So you can have poisons that just... You can't... And the same with the appliance, which will... Basically, you can't have some sort of scientific contraption that does some elaborate thing that is confusing to the reader or is not heard of before. It has to be something that makes sense. For example, there's a concept called a dumbwaiter. While not everyone's heard of it before, it is a fairly common thing that exists, particularly in multi-floor buildings, especially with the rich people in the past. What it was a small shaft that was basically like an elevator, but it was an elevator for like food or waste. And what it was is like you'd have a pulley system with ropes. That way you wouldn't have to transport things up a fucking staircase every time. It's the same idea as having a bucket on a rope off the side of a treehouse. Those exist. You could use that in part of a mystery story. But it has to be something that makes... It can't be something like... It's one thing you say, how we're like the... Again, I've said like the 7 stakes of purgatory are being launched to people's heads with a crossbow. A crossbow is an easy explanation for people. But if you start trying to explain it with some sort of Rube Goldberg machine from like Ernest goes to, you know, the Ernest movies with Jim Varney, then yeah, you have a problem. But again, Jim Varney is not a mystery novel. And even then, you can have things that have aspects of detective. I mean, after all, Death Note. Death Note's kind of a mystery story, and it's got a mystery genre to it, and it's definitely about detectives, but I don't think it would count as a detective genre. Let's look it up on Google. Okay. According to Google, Death Note is anime, animation, horror, drama, psychological thriller, mystery, suspense, thriller, crime TV genre, fantasy. Death Note is renowned psychological thriller and supernatural suspense anime, focusing on high-stakes battles of wits between a student using a killing notebook and a detective. Despite its mature, dark, and cerebral themes, it is classified as a shonen series, as it was originally serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump. And I remember originally the author of that story wanted to end it differently, but they had to end it with Light losing because they were getting legal problems because, well, there were people starting to write in actual notebooks about the stuff, so they're like, oh no, you know, we're not inspiring violence and stuff. What animes are detective? I asked Google, list anime that are pure detective fiction. Pure detective fiction in anime often features brilliant investigators, intricate mysteries, and a focus on solving crimes. Key examples include classics like Kindaichi Case Files. Sounds familiar, but I actually don't think I'm drawing a blank there. Detective Academy Q, as well as moody gothic tales like Go Sick. These series focus on deduction rather than action, following characters who analyze clues to find the truth behind complex, often deadly situations. Here is a list of anime that are pure detective fiction. Let's say we see the ones already listed. There's also Sakurako-san no Aishi Moto ni wa Shitai ga Uatairo. A corpse is buried under Sako feet. A forensic osteologist helped. I don't remember what an osteologist is. Is it a bone doctor? Helps solve murder cases by analyzing bones. Okay, so it is. Detective Conan. I've heard of this one. Case closed. While heavily featuring action, its core is a vast collection of weekly whodunit murder mysteries. Moody and psychological detectives. Monster. I've heard of that one. The opening and closing themes, the music songs, is fucking awesome to that anime. A tense, realistic thriller following a doctor tracking a psychopath he previously saved. Psychopaths, that's a good one. A futuristic detective story focusing on investigating crimes within a system that measures mental criminal intent. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Hell yes, that's... Though, again, I don't think that counts. It does not fucking count. It does not count as a pure detective story with everything that's fucking going on. I mean, I guess futuristic robots and shit doesn't count as supernatural, but still, I don't think Ghost in the Shell counts as a pure detective fiction. It's an awesome anime. It's one of the best that's ever been made. It's a really, really enjoyable story, but I don't think it counts as a pure detective story. It's Moriarty the Patriot. A spin on Sherlock Holmes, focusing on the criminal mastermind's perspective to fix social ills. This reminds me of something. What was it? There was a, There was some... I even have a couple volumes of the manga, too. That's forever ago. Fuck. Don't remember. Fuck, what was it? There's a couple. I mean, obviously there's Twisted Wonderland, that's a thing, but that's not what I'm thinking about. Fuck. I don't like that. I know what I'm trying to think of. I can't think of the word for it. What's the name of that show? I will look around. I gotta find that. Oh. Where the fuck would I have put that? Probably over here. was like, that sounds like a fucking awesome problem you have, Lunar. Oh, I have too much anime and manga. There's too much manga. I can't find the manga I'm looking for. Fucking first world problem. Found it. Okay. I'm back. Again, sounds like a great problem to have. I have too much manga, so it's difficult to find the manga I wanted to find. The case study. The case study of Vanitas. Rumors revolving around the Book of Vanitas. A clockwork of grimoire of dubious reputation. Draw, no it appears, what awaits him in the city of flowers, however, is not long hours of treading the pavement or rifling through dusty bookshops in search of the tome. Instead, his quarry comes to him in the arms of a man claiming to be a vampire doctor, thrust into a conflict that threatens the peace between humans and vampires, will know, cast in his lot with the curious and slightly unbalanced Vanitas, and his quest to save vampire kind. Yeah, the case study of Vanitas. And people are like, that doesn't count as a genre. I don't fucking care. It's a good story. I enjoy it. Okay, next. Niche and unique detective tales. Ungo, a detective with supernatural partner, solves mysteries in dystopian future. ACCA 13 Territory Inspection Department, low-key detective espionage anime focused on inspector auditing suspicious activity across 13 districts. The millionaire detective balance unlimited focuses on detective with unlimited funds utilizing high-tech methods for investigating. Isn't that just Batman? Hyoka, slice of life detective series where students solve minor everyday mysteries within their school. Master Keaton follows an insurance investigator who uses skills from the SAS to solve cases worldwide. Psychic Detective Yakumo, a college student with a red eye that can see ghosts, works to solve murder cases. Okay, back to the fucking 10 Commandments. Like, we've been off a tangent to fucking... Okay. Main point is this. You shouldn't need to explain the existence of the it should be assumed, like, if you explain, okay, cyanide or crossbows, you should assume that most people know what those things are, and that you don't need to explain how they're used. So you're allowed to use poisons or scientific devices. But it has to be something that exists and is at least somewhat considered common knowledge. Yes, some people might not know certain things exist. But, like, they have to be things that are actually existing. Okay, rule 5. No Chinaman must figure in the story? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I don't understand. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google a Google. The fifth rule in Ronald Knox's 1928 Ten Commandments of Detective Fiction, created to prevent reliance on lazy, racist, or stereotypical portrayals of Chinese characters in Western mystery novels. It aimed to avoid cliches like the hidden or sinister, exoticized villain. Context. The rules were established during the golden age of detective fiction, 1920s, as a reaction against anti-Chinese stereotypes common in literature at the time, such as those found in the Fu Manchu's stories. That name sounds familiar, but I'm not actually familiar with the stories. Purpose. Knox explained that if a reader came across a story featuring stereotypically exaggerated descriptions like slit-like eyes, it was a sign of a bad story. Modern view, while intended to discourage poor writing, the phrasing itself is recognized today as a product of its time and a reflection of outdated prejudice attitudes. Knox's other rule is sometimes called his Decalogue, focused on fair play with the reader, including no supernatural elements, no accidental clues, and only one secret room. No accidental clues, only one secret room. Now, what exactly do you mean by no accidental clues? Like, what? I don't... And obviously no supernatural elements, because we're not saying the supernatural doesn't exist. We're just saying that if you can solve a crime using the supernatural, then it's not a mystery story anymore. So, I mean, it's one way to solve a mystery, but at that point, it goes against the rules of the story. It's kind of like saying, okay, there's a war between two groups of people. Okay, you're trying to figure out which one of them killed the other. I mean, obviously, it's possible that lions came and ate everybody. I mean, that's obscure. That's very unlikely and improbable. It's not impossible. However, it does go against expectations. Okay, main point, I guess, the no Chinaman must is basically you're writing a character that's meant specifically to be hated so that they have to be the villain. Whether it be from racist ways or you just write a character like who's just a really terrible person. Now, at the same time, I also think the inverse of that should not be allowed either. Like Rosa. Obviously, we shouldn't write the story to where Rosa's like, oh, because she's a terrible bitch to her daughter, she has to be the villain. But also, at the same time, you shouldn't be like, oh, because people suspect her or because she's got these personality flaws, she's not allowed to be the villain. Or because she is this, she has to be villain. Or because she is this, she can't be the villain. It'd be like the opposite of like the Chinaman can't be the villain. It's the idea that everyone should equally be considered the possibility of the villain, correct? You shouldn't just be like, well, that person has brown hair. Okay, 6. No accident must ever help the detective, nor must he ever have an unaccountable intuition which proves to be right. Okay, 1, he can't just uncountable. He can't say, I trust my gut, and that's it. No, you have to actually use logic. But no accident must ever help the detective. I'm not sure how that really applies. So much time on Google. Sixth rule, established in 1929. So he didn't establish these all in the same year. This guideline insists that detectives must solve a case through logic, deduction, and observation, rather than relying on lucky coincidences or similar unaccountable intuitions. You can't just use your gut feeling or a lucky coincidence. You have to actually use logic, deduction, observation. You have to actually solve the fucking... Okay, 7. The detective must not himself commit the crime. Does that rule out the story Heavy Rain? That's an old video game. Does anyone even remember that one? Rule 8. The detective must not light on any clues which are not instantly produced for the inspection of the reader. Are you saying the same way we wouldn't introduce a unknown character that could be the murderer later? You can't say, oh, the detective found this thing at the very start of the story, but didn't mention it till now. Is that what we're going with? To ensure fair play, it dictates all clues must be presented to the reader as they are discovered by the detective. So, we, as the reader, are required to learn things at the same point in the story as the detective does. So, it has to be fair. The point is that the same way the detective is trying to solve the murder mystery, we, the people reading the story, are trying to solve it as well. And we're trying to understand the story. So it's unfair if we're being expected to solve a puzzle and a few pieces of our puzzle box have been left out, but, the writer's giving the detective the full picture. Prohibiting hidden evidence, surprise last-minute clues, and illegitimate deus ex machina solutions. Purpose: to allow the reader to solve the mystery alongside the detective, ensuring a fair challenge. Context: developed during the golden age of detective fiction to combat lazy writing where detectives know things without evidence. Results of violation: the reader feels cheated by the author if a crucial hidden clue suddenly appears at the end to solve the case. This rule, along with the others by Knox, such as no twin brothers, no Chinese, and no, the butler cannot be the culprit, set the standards for classic whodunits. And I think that's a fair point. In any story, you have to be able to... You should be able to... It should be possible to figure it out while you're reading it. It shouldn't be like you're read the whole novel series and you don't know who the villain is, and then the very last sentence of the 10th book, it says, oh, it was this guy. The end. So that question is this. Higurashi does not qualify as a detective story then, right? Because obviously while you're reading the story, you're trying to figure it out. And of course, I had foreknowledge of Higurashi before, reading the actual visual novel. That being said, Umineko is something that I am still a bit in the dark on. But the point is, you should be able to try to solve things. But Higurashi, I don't think it's something you can easily solve. And even then, a lot of that stuff does go with some supernatural elements. So I don't think Higurashi counts. Let's ask Google again. What genre is Higurashi When They Cry? Is a renowned psychological horror, murder mystery, and thriller series. It blends suspense, supernatural elements, and at times gore, and slasher-style violence. It originated as a visual sound novel by 07th Expansion, exploring themes of trust, paranoia, and trauma in a secluded rural village. Again, Hinamizawa. Okay. 9. The stupid friend of the detective, the Watson, must not conceal any thoughts which pass through his mind. His intelligence must be slightly, but very slightly, below that of the average reader. 10. Twin brothers and doubles, like Mion and Shion, generally must not appear unless we have been duly prepared for them. I know a lot of mysteries don't always follow this structure anymore, but I do think it's interesting that almost every rule is touched on in 1. In DAOD? What the fuck? Okay, so obviously that's... But we're... How do I... Death and other details. That's... Oh, there's actually a name for a subreddit. I'm not a Redditor, okay? Forgive me for not knowing much about Reddit. I just occasionally pop on here if there's something I want to... But I don't even have an account on Reddit. I don't really understand the structure of Reddit. I'm not a Redditor. I'm sorry. Okay. 1. We're essentially told that the villain is on board and has been in front of Rufus since Kira's death. 2. VS is all-knowing, but not supernatural. 3. We have the server room. Is this to say that there's definitely aren't secret passages into rooms, so no one will be able to enter Danny's room through a passage, because that's the only one, but we have the whole area where the stowaways are. So does that mean there will be more passageways, or was that not secret? 4. Does ricin count or not? We're told that physically found it. They physically found it, but we never see it. We know Alexandra was poisoned, but we've never seen the cause, just the result. Obviously, this is an outdated rule, essentially meant to say don't make the foreigner the bad guy, but a bit on the nose that there are 2 full Chinese families on the yacht would mean that the Go/Chuns are innocent, or is this to poke fun at the outdatedness of these rules? 6. Could accident be taken literally here? Elias' car accident immediately stands out to me. Could the car explosion also fall under accident? Maybe that's to say those are both red herrings. Who is the detective? Because as of right now, we have multiple options for this role. The most obvious is Rufus, but he is also the writer of the book. Is Imogen the true detective? Where do Hilde and Lila come in? 8. Clues that haven't instantly been brought to light by Rufus. Finding Danny's notebook, not telling Imogen everything he knows from the get-go. It makes me believe that he is not the detective of the story, and just the writer, the one person whose immediate thoughts we get access to are Imogen's. Who is Watson? I think it's Rufus. He hasn't produced anything groundbreaking for us. We know Jules has a twin, so we've been prepared for it, that if and when it comes. As much overlap... Okay, back to focusing on the story, I guess. And again, it's almost an hour and a half. I'm trying to make shorter videos. And I'm trying not to go on tangents. I'm the one who's fighting her mystery. What are you? You're just barely anti-fantasy, doing nothing but dodging over and over and denying fantasy. You're opposed to absolutely everything, but you can't make any counter-proposals. You're like a politician from some country. Giggle, giggle. Shut up. I didn't come here to speak gibberish with you two. Continue the story right now. Be quiet. That sleeping princess behind you looks like she's in pain, doesn't she? When he turned around, he saw Beato's living corpse resting in a chair. However, sweat glistened all over her body, and it felt like she was breathing a little harder than normal. She looked as though she was suffering from a high fever. Beato, what's wrong? Are you okay? What do you mean, is she okay? You sure do say some weird things. Again, Bill Engvall. Again, I understand that, yes, obviously she's not okay. Yeah. But at the same time, it's... How else am I supposed to express my concern for her well-being? Yes, I understand. I know without having to ask that she is not okay. I don't need to ask, are you okay, in order to know whether or not she is okay. It is me saying, hi, I care. I notice that you are not okay. I want you to want to know that I care. I'm expressing my concern for you, and I'm also stating that I am open to you giving me additional details to the exact, anything you want to express on the nature of how you're not okay. I understand you're not okay. I know you're not okay. I don't need you to say, no, I'm not okay, for me to know that you're not okay. In the same regard, you don't have to feel like you have to expound on that if you don't want to. And at the same time, even you just saying, no, I am not okay, is still, it's a conversation, and it's at least a step forward. Even if it's like, no, I'm not okay, but I don't want to talk about it, that's fine. You don't have to feel forced to do it, but at the same time, you should know that you can if you want to. Though obviously this is a poor example in this circumstance, because I'm pretty sure Beato physically can't. But at the same time, she can still fucking hear me, which means, one, it's partly me saying this is the vain hope that I hope she starts talking and she is able to express. And again, I know she's not okay, but this is my way of at least expressing, hey, I care. And I'm asking for your input and expression. I'm expressing that I care about your thoughts and feelings, and that I wish for you to share your thoughts or feelings. It is simply how you have a conversation. Sometimes you ask questions even though you don't need, you know the answer to the question. But asking the question is the only logical thing to say or do, or even just what feels natural. So it's actually, as far as I'm concerned, perfectly normal. Then again, maybe I'm just not qualified to say what counts as normal. Aren't you fighting to kill this girl? I mean, humanely, I guess. We've rewound this 5th game for your benefit, but right now Byrne has done a good job of cornering her opponent and is about to break through the illusion of the witch. Her existence has been almost completely denied. It's only natural that she's suffering. Just now, even you smashed the illusion of the witch by saying, there's no way Kinzo exists. Here's the proof that your attack reached Beato. This agony of hers. I tried to at least wipe away the sweat on Beato's forehead with a handkerchief. It's true I promised Beato that I'd let her die, but it was supposed to happen peacefully. I wasn't planning to make her suffer first. My goal isn't to make the sleeping Beato suffer like this before killing her. As if they had seen right through to my mixed feelings, the two witches grinned. And even if they show me that grin, they're only going to stay on that for a split second before reverting back. And again, it seems like you guys are kind of jerks. You're only enjoying. It's vicarious. You guys know the song by Tool? Dad only overheard you because you kept yelling about the inheritance. Right, Umineko? It's not my fault. It was just an unlucky coincidence, okay? Okay, let's end the video.